Hi, and welcome to the Future of Dermatology podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Farah Kamangar, board certified dermatologist. We are here to talk about anything and everything dermatology related. You'll hear from me and my guests who are dermatologists, physicians, experts, scientists, residents, and medical students in the field of dermatology. We publish weekly, so if you like what you hear, hit that subscribe button and show us some love, and thank you for joining us.
Hello, welcome to the Future of Dermatology podcast. Today we are so excited to have Dr. Clark Otley with us here today. We have a very interesting topic. We've touched on the podcast at different times about how physicians need to take part in development of devices, technology, and all of the things that we touch in clinic every day so we can make sure they're made the best for us. But then alongside of it are lots of issues around physician entrepreneurship, contracts, how do you go about it? All of these things that Dr. Otley has all of the answers to. So we're so lucky to have him here. And just a brief background, Dr. Otley is a board certified dermatologist and a Mohs surgeon. And he is a professor of dermatology at Mayo Clinic College of Medicine and Science. And he has had a very extensive history in the innovation side at Mayo and the different platforms, different groups that he's been involved with business development, which he will tell us more about. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Otley.
Thanks, Farah. Really appreciate it. So I'm happy to just kind of chat about some of the experiences I've had. Not a very good inventor, I would say that up front. I've probably invented about 10 things in my career. That's how I got into the area of innovation. I formed a company in conjunction with Mayo Clinic that was related to a varicose vein device, believe it or not. So I partnered with some vascular medicine colleagues. We patented two different devices, one mine, one theirs, did some experimentation, started a company, and got some good early results in animals and cadaver models. But the fundraising did not go our way, and so we did not have a successful raise and couldn't move on to the next step. But huge lessons learned, lots of great experience, and one of the outcomes of that was I got to know the technology development and commercialization people at Mayo Clinic really well because I was working with them. And at the time, they didn't have a medical director of business development, and they put out an application for it. And I applied and was chosen and have had a really, really great experience leading that function at Mayo Clinic in conjunction. At Mayo, they have what's called a dyad leadership model. You have a doctor and a business person leading the business units. So I was the doctor of business development at Mayo Clinic, which is a really productive place. So we have about 4,000 different staff across the different sites, and those staff come up with about 700 invention ideas every year about the craziest stuff you can imagine. I mean, diagnostic stuff, devices, new drugs, pharmacologic assays, research techniques, all this crazy stuff. And our job is to get as many of those, especially the best ones, out into the market. And that's a long and complicated process, from ideation to developing a minimally viable prototype to doing some preclinical testing, animal testing, safety testing, and then going for FDA approval. And then finally, trying to actually form a company that would bring that forward into the market. So it's a long, long pathway, oftentimes measured, almost always measured in years, sometimes, unfortunately, in decades, between the idea and actually having that impact on the patient that we all desire. And I would say the things that I've observed that make it easier are having great ideas. That's the fundamental basis. There's nothing that can replace a really solid idea in an area that has a big need. And so fundamentally spend time on what kind of problem are you trying to solve, and then develop a lot of ideas, ideate and modify and change and pivot and really try to stay open that your first idea is probably not going to be your best idea. And it may be that it's a bad idea, or it may be that it's the wrong idea or the wrong gap, you've really just got to stay open at that phase. Then you do a bunch of iteration on prototypes and trying things out as what we call a minimally viable prototype. Just try things out, make it, break it, try it, and see how things go. And then if something starts to work, then you start to contact either, if you're in a medical center, your intellectual property office or your technology development office. If you're not affiliated with one, there are lots of intellectual property law firms and things who can help you guide through that pathway. And some of the states will offer entrepreneurial programs or entrepreneurial grants, like an SBIR grant, trying to encourage entrepreneurship among innovative people of all different specialties. And then the hard work continues. Then you really got to start to refine things and develop a scientific database to support the efficacy and the safety of your device. If that continues to go well, then you need to start thinking about, okay, what's my business model, and how is this going to enter the market? Who's going to be an applicable patient population for this? And then most importantly, who's going to pay for this? Because if nobody's willing to pay for it, there's no CPT code, there are barriers to entry. You can have a great idea, but it doesn't go anywhere if the business model doesn't work. I forgot to mention all in the process, make sure you capture that intellectual property. So if you have that idea, usually at the minimally viable prototype level, then you want to essentially try to see if you've got a patentable idea. And a patent attorney, either in your institution or somebody you meet with, can do a patent search. Yeah. You can even do a patent search on your own on Google Patent, see if there's something. And it's not uncommon that when you have a really good idea, somebody else is probably having
might have come up with it.
Idea.
Yeah, we're kind of thinking of the same lines. It's a good question that you bring up with, or question that comes up with the intellectual property piece. Some of the questions always kind of come around also, is it better to be in an academic center or a multi-specialty clinic with a lot of structure and rules, or is it better for someone on their own to be doing this? I'm sure there's probably different ways of looking at it, but being at an academic institution, do you feel like that it's almost better to have those resources, like you have an Office of Intellectual Property, or is it more like, oh no, we shouldn't share it because this group might, put restrictions on it? I'd be curious to see how you kind of view that.
I think, Farah, that it depends on your institution. If you're in an institution, some institutions, it depends what drives them. There are some research universities where they just want to get things patented and want to encourage startups, but don't provide a lot of resources and don't pay as much attention to actually getting the technology across the goal line. Their metrics are patents or something. Mayo Clinic's taken a very practical approach. We want to have patient impact. And so the real goal is not the patent, not the licensing, it's the actual commercialization of that technology so that it impacts patients. So wherever you are, get to know the people, ask the questions, find out what kind of experience they have. And some technology development offices are very successful. Others, I'd say, a little bit less successful. And there's just different ways to pursue things. If you're in a non-academic setting, I've seen some really successful people do things out of their garage, out of their basement workshop. And then once you develop it to that kind of minimally viable prototype level, then you start to think, okay, can I do this on my own? Probably not. So then you're looking for two things. You're looking for a business partner who can kind of help you with that business aspect. And you may be looking for a technologic commercialization partner, a company that has experience with drugs or medical devices or healthcare information technology, where they've been down this road before, and you could try to do it all yourself, but why not take advantage of their experience? You do lose some control when you gain a partner. You do lose some value, but you'd rather have a smaller amount of the value of something that actually works and gets into the market than all the value of something that doesn't get into the market.
Yeah. Oh, great point.
So some of the other things that I would point to at this point, Farah, I'm involved with this thing, as you insinuated, called the Mayo Clinic Platform. Mayo Clinic
Mhm.
Platform is essentially a digital innovation version of Mayo Clinic, extending out to the world, very externally facing, that's trying to assist entrepreneurs and innovators of all types related to digital healthcare technology uh, through a platform structure. And so this is an open platform structure. Think about like Airbnb, the classic
Mhm.
platform being there are suppliers who make stuff, there are consumers who need stuff, like the suppliers might have cars, the consumers might need a ride, and the technology platform intermediates the interaction between the suppliers and the consumers. We've Our CEO 4 years ago challenged us and said, I think there's an opportunity for a platform business model in healthcare. And of course, healthcare is way more complicated than getting a ride. So it was a pretty bold vision and one we've been working on for over 4 years now. And it's really come along quite well. The main focus is on, again, digital healthcare innovation. And what we've created is a really big computational engine with all of Mayo Clinic's data de identified so that it's privacy protected. And we have it in what's called a federated model so that if an innovator wants to come in and do innovative research on our data, they can do that, but they can't see patient identifiers, nor can they extract any data. So it's in what's called a container, and it's all kind of safe and privacy protecting. We're also partnering with institutions around the country and around the world, and they are de-identifying their data and structuring it in the exact same way that we are. And so now all of a sudden, instead of trying to do research on a small number of patients from one particular medical center, now you may be able to do research and innovation on 50 million patients or 100 million
Oh, that's
patients so that you
fantastic.
really can get depth and breadth. And our hope is that we can develop solutions for the whole world, or this platform, all the solution developers can develop solutions for the whole world. Totally cool. All the different continents, all the different languages, all the different disease types. And it's an open platform where we connect the engineers and entrepreneurs who are trying to make digital healthcare solutions with the technology that they need to do the discovery, do the validation, and do the commercialization and deployment with hospitals and clinics who are interested in this technology. So it's a really cool construct. In fact, I was just telling you before, Farah, I was with one of our American Academy of Dermatology colleagues who I know she's in the same specialty that I am in terms of Mohs surgery, and she's got a great digital healthcare idea. And we were talking about could her company benefit from entering this ecosystem of innovation called Mayo Clinic Platform. And I think we're both excited about the possibility that we could really accelerate her company and her idea towards commercialization. So lots of fun. And I'd say the topic of AI, I would imagine you guys being in the hotbed of AI and technology
Yeah,
is,
yeah.
I think that's the future of innovation in all aspects of dermatology.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree. That's a topic near and dear to my heart. I have his background in engineering before going into dermatology. So I've been involved in health tech for a long time. Before health tech was cool, I think now everyone is on board that technology is a good thing and we should adopt it. Whereas, like, I give a talks to residents from going from healthcare 1.0 to healthcare 5.0, so where everything is now as far as technology, but a lot of practices are still at 2.0 or 3.0. They might not even be on the like EMRs and things like that. So there's this huge gap that's kind of created. But yeah, AI is just, it's amazing. So one of the things we work on is like Derm GPT is a learned language model. It's incredible what the new GPT type bases allow you to do. It's
Yeah,
basically taken things that people were trying to do for years, you're able to do in months. So
yeah,
I think it's just going to speed up everything. The electronic medical records, I think, have been kind of love hate for some people during some time, journey and the adoption of it. And I remember I was like, for example, at UCSF, I was on a rotation a long time ago when they first rolled out Epic, and there were some of the amazing attendings who'd written our books in dermatology. They were like running up and down the hallways and panic that and that the EMRs were coming. But then now we're seeing the kind of the fruits of that labor. You have all this data. So like, what do you do with it? That's incredible, actually, what these initiatives and what they're creating. Did it take about 4 years to get to this point where the information is kind of de-identified and kind of ready to package into for different groups to work with? I
Yeah,
assume that took a
it's a
long process.
yeah, it's serious business. It's not for the faint of heart. So to de-identify an individual medical center's worth of data, millions of patients worth, you're
Yeah,
talking about probably a 12-month to 18-month process. You're talking
yeah,
about $7.5 million worth of investment. And that's in a medical center that has a pretty sophisticated IT department. You can't do it if you've not got a really robust
yeah.
EHR and some pretty good IT people who are focused more on innovation than just keeping the lights on in the EHR. So it's a major undertaking. But the nice thing is these medical centers that we're affiliated with, they're doing it, and
Yeah.
innovators. So now it's open access. So if you have
Yes.
a model that you've created to predict, let's say, psoriasis outcomes,
Hmm.
to get a training set of 500 photographs correlated with longitudinal patient records, correlated with biopsy results, correlated with drug records and adverse effects. Wow, that's just so laborious. Now all that stuff's there, it's ready, and you can just turn it on and do your search in a much more efficient way. And if you're interested in getting a Midwestern population, okay, Mayo Clinic in Minnesota has that. If you're looking for uh,
Right.
a more Southern population, we've got Mercy Health Center who can provide that data. If you're looking for European data, we've got Israeli data, we've got South American data, we've got Canadian data, and then we've got more and more partners. We're trying to build it really so it's a global network
That's
so that we
fantastic.
can create unbiased algorithms that apply to
Right.
all humans, not just Midwestern,
Hmm.
Caucasian humans. So we're really trying
Right.
to
Yeah.
democratize access to this technology,
Yeah,
and we're
that's incredible because even like clinical trials, we've known for so long that the data can be skewed. There's so many barriers to be in a clinical trial, have access to an academic center, be able to drive to the academic center, and so it's not always real world data. It's really incredible what technology is allowing us to do.
yeah, yeah. So the AI is being applied I like to think of it broadly as just two buckets. First is
Yeah.
make us good doctors, and then the second is make our practices run well. So the kind of
Yes.
diagnostic, prognostic, predictive, and sometimes even therapeutic options for digital technology. And then there's just the logistical benefits, including automation,
Um,
to your point of language recognition and billing and all those kind of labor intensive things that aren't our favorite things to do at the end of a
yes.
busy clinic day. Um, and our clinicians across healthcare, they're looking for all of it. They want all of it. They really do, though,
Yes.
want probably first and foremost the logistical stuff because that removes the pain points for them. And once I think we alleviate some of the pain of dictation and transcription and billing and prior authorization and all those kind of manual labor things,
Yeah.
then I think people will be very interested in the burgeoning field of advanced predictive diagnostics. So instead of me diagnosing somebody with squamous cell carcinoma based on a simple pathology result, we can probably combine the digital photograph, the digital dermatopathology, which could be even stained with digital
Mm.
immunostains. We're developing that capability along with all the other aspects of the patient's medical record, and then maybe even their microbiome results and
Yeah.
their biometrics and things. There's so much data that we just don't have access to. You start putting that into a powerful computing model, and you'll be able to say that person is the person who's going to metastasize. So like right up front, don't even need to do a PET scan, don't even need to do a sentinel lymph node biopsy. The computer is powerful enough to probably identify. We've seen time and time again things that human doctors just can't do because
Yeah.
just the computing power is so great. So advanced diagnosis, more accurate so that you can get your prognosis. So you've got 10 patients in your clinic with psoriasis based on maybe photographs and some genomic analysis. Now all of a sudden, you know, that's the person who's going to develop psoriatic arthritis and really have metabolic consequences. Oh, this one, they're going to have a very mild course. And so
Yeah.
you treat the person who's going to have the complications really hard with aggressive medications. You go nice and soft touch on the person who's not. That way you customize it, give the people the right therapy rather than kind
Yeah.
of treating everybody, you know, kind of
Yep, we're
equally. They're
sort
not.
of making our best guess, absolutely. And if the first biologic doesn't work, then you switch to the next one, as opposed
Yep.
to why not know which one works
Yeah.
right up the front. I'd love to hear about the digital, histostains. What's going on in that world?
There are, we've got a company that we're working with right now that basically digitizes pathology slides. They're working on a number of
Hmm.
different disease models and essentially doing AI analysis of the slide and then correlating it
Wow.
with what would be seen on the immunohistochemical stains. And just like cardiologists now can detect things that you can't even see in the ECG waveform. From the ECG waveform, they can predict what the immunostains would be if they did them without doing them. And those are again
Oh
things
my
like
goodness, yeah.
you show me I mean, our pathologists are so smart, dermatopathologists so
Yes.
smart, but like show me the one that can predict exactly the immunostain without
Yeah.
the immunostain.
Impossible. Right, right.
But the computers can do that
Are
because the
able to do
computers
that.
can see things that we just can't even see with our eyes. Quite amazing.
Yeah. I stuck a couple of pictures of just the classic basal cell and things like that for fun on the general open AI GPT imaging platform that they put out. I was like, let's see what happens. It did a pretty good job. And this is a generic thing, just trying to pick up
Yeah.
from the internet what this could look like. I thought it was going to say something like, I don't know, it's a streak of pink on a slide, like it was almost just like it's a nothing, right? But it picked up, this is a skin H&E, it's a tumor, it likely is this type. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's crazy what it can do. So you can only imagine if you take a company where they're really fine-tuning and fine-tuning that learning. It's incredible. It's going to be incredible what
And,
the learned
and
machines can do.
oh, and it'll be applicable. So like here's the message to everybody. Like this is applicable to everything. So if you're a pediatric dermatologist, there's something in it. If you're a
Yes,
dermatopathologist, there's something you can do. If you're a Mohs surgeon, there's something you can do. If you're a psoriasis specialist,
there's
everything
something to.
is relevant for this kind of technology.
Yeah.
So it's accessible, whereas it used to be totally inaccessible. Now it's accessible. Think about ways in which you can either logistically make your practice better, which, hey,
Hmm.
dermatologists are going to know how to make a dermatology practice the best. You know, the
Yes.
engineers won't have that insight. Likewise, what kind of diagnostic, prognostic, predictive, and then maybe even digital therapeutics might be possible for improving the care of our patients.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's amazing, amazing work. And you've been a department chair in the past as well. Or are you currently department chair as well?
No, I did my
Oh, you've
time.
done,
That's
you
for
did your
young
time.
people like you, Farah.
Yes, yeah. So we have about 16 derms under me now. How many derms did you have in the practice when you were
Gosh,
department chair? You guys have a very large practice.
yeah, I think we had
Yeah.
about 30 staff
Oh, wow.
dermatologists, and
Oh
you
gosh, I
know,
can only imagine because then the practice management pieces are so critically important. You
yeah,
kind of realize when you're looking at all the numbers, if you can optimize something by like 5%, but you're doing it across that many dermatologists, we made subtle changes last year in our prior auth process, just very minor things like using automation, AI, things like that. I think we saved something like over $500,000 of, like MA equivalent time, of the time that was spent, just because there's so many dermatologists and these processes being done so many times. So just the simple practice management implications, I think, are so practical and so interesting. They can
That,
immediately equate to changes in 6 to 12 months that you can see.
and I'm sure your colleagues are so appreciative of that. I mean, just solving the problems, making
Still
people's
solving the
jobs
problems. Yep.
better. That's what it's all about, and making our care better
Yeah.
for our patients. So, and
And that's a lot of, yeah.
I'll say it
Oh,
to
sorry, go
you.
ahead.
So, like, thank you for being a department chair. I think people think it's like a glamorous thing or some like
It is
power
not.
thing.
It is
It's
not.
all about serving your colleagues and serving your
Yep.
patients and serving your department
It
members.
is,
It's
yeah,
a
it is
big
the
deal. It
ultimate
really
public service type of role.
is, for
Absolutely. And
sure.
I think that's another thing to kind of realize the importance of, when you're really seeing the nitty gritty of the problems every day, you just realize it has to be the physicians first in these rooms
Yeah.
coming up with solutions. Because the person that feels the pain the most is probably the one that can come up. And I think we're a pretty intelligent group of people. So if there's a problem, we can likely come up with some good solutions for it. So then the next step is having that environment around you to actually actualize it, like your groups are doing. So for your initiative that you're doing now, how can physicians reach out to you, or what's the process of someone coming and pitching an idea and getting into a group like this, or even other centers? Like how are these things,
Yeah.
the
I mean,
logistics of kind of getting into one of these I'll call them incubator styles from Silicon Valley, but they're probably
yeah.
called different things at different places.
Yeah, incubators and accelerators and things like that. So yeah,
Yeah.
first, look around your local environment. There are innovators in your town, I guarantee. And getting to be friends with them, finding out who has resources, because communities want to develop companies
Mm-hmm.
and technologies. That's, part of the economic engine of a community. So tap into your local ecosystem. If you're happy there, um, you'll at some point need a partner, and the partners sometimes are in your local ecosystem. Sometimes you need to start looking further afield. Mayo Clinic Platform is an open digital technology platform, and we do have an accelerator, Farah. So the person I was speaking to today, she's considering putting her company through the accelerator, which is a 20-week program. You do
Mm-hmm.
get a lot of training and meet with a lot of people, get a lot of expert advice, and then you get access to data, the tools, you get help learning how to interact with that data effectively. You'll get some company advice and things. So it's kind
Yeah,
of a innovation ecosystem class within itself. And
that's
then
fantastic.
after that, you continue to engage as you need to develop your solution towards the market.
And there's like in Silicon Valley here, there's tons of the tech incubators. And do you think and I think I kind of know the answer to this. To me, it makes sense for health tech to start in your type of incubators, where people around are physicians and they get it and they understand the problems, versus maybe some of the larger giant incubators, but they're very tech based and they are like the Airbnb type of developers or the Uber type of developers. Is it a different vibe and a different feel to go into a physician surrounded type of incubator?
Yeah, the fintech and ag tech and all
Yeah.
those
Yep.
other tech, they would be able to teach you a lot on business and technology, but healthcare is a different beast. And the business model of healthcare, oh my gosh, it's crazy. So if you, again, going back to our earlier discussion, if you don't figure out how to get a solution paid for in this bizarre
Mhm.
healthcare weird market that we live in, it's not going to go anywhere. So at some
Right.
point, you need healthcare expertise in a big way.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, thank you so much. This has been so amazingly unique and wonderful and such great advice. This is the Future of Dermatology podcast. So we always end it with, what are your thoughts on the future, or what are you excited about for the future of dermatology, or any changes that you see coming?
I'm like out of my mind excited about the power of AI and its potential, while I'm kind of realistic that this stuff is hard and it takes time and dedication. None of this stuff happens like, oh, inventors at Mayo used to think like, oh, you'd go and take a shower, an idea would pop in your head, and that you come out of the
Right.
shower and they'll hand you $1 million. No, no, no. So not true. So this is hard work. It's not for the faint of heart, but it's super fun. And what I tell my colleagues is a lot of physicians, being a physician is a hard job. It's a stressful job. And
Mhm.
the numbers in our specialty of burned out, self-reported burnout
Yeah.
is getting higher and higher. This is fun. It's like being a kid again, playing around, trying to be inventive and creative, talking with different people, stretching yourself out of your comfort zone. So whether you're a good inventor or not a good inventor like me, you'll still have fun,
Very
and
fantastic.
it'll be like an anti-burnout pill for you. So
Oh,
try it, have
100%.
fun.
Yeah.
And there's many levels too, because people like you who have a technology, eventually you're going to need people to test it out. So get involved
Mhm.
in the testing and the validation, be an early adopter, try new things out. It's a real golden age to be in medicine, and I think it's just going to get more and more fun.
Absolutely. And I 100% agree with you on the burnout. I think that's one of the main causes. We all used to be in private practice. So you'd have to be innovative to make the practice work and all these different things. As the pieces got removed, when everybody joins multi-specialty groups, there's this trend that everyone's just kind of getting burnt out of just showing up and doing one thing and not having that innovative thought process. So I think it serves both functions. One, you're helping to innovate ideas that make everyone else's lives better, but also just preventing burnout and using the muscle memory up here that I think we're used to using.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's
We're all came
fantastic.
into
Well,
med
thank you
school
so
with that
much.
excitement. So,
Yeah,
well, great.
exactly, right. You'd have to be, yeah, you'd have to be so innovative for so many years. We don't want to turn that off. It's sort of like keep going with it. And we have
Yeah.
amazing people like you to help support it and create environments where these things can happen.
Well, thanks for inviting me, Farah, and greetings to
Thank
all your
you.
colleagues. I hope they enjoy this, and I had a good time speaking with you tonight.
Thank you so much. Thank you for taking the time.
Thank you for listening to the Future of Dermatology podcast. Remember to hit that subscribe button and share the podcast with your friends. The more you share and subscribe, the more we'll be able to grow and share our dermatology knowledge. If you have burning dermatology questions, feel free to leave them in the comment below, and we would love to address them in a future episode. And please note that this podcast is not intended to substitute for medical advice from your doctor.